Hello guys, today we're gonna start making Agamemnon from Christopher Nolan's Odyssey 2026. I recently watched the movie and you know what? Agamemnon really impressed me a lot as a character, even more than Odyssey. I really liked his speechless look and black suit, that was really cool for a character. And for those who don't know, Benny Safdie was after it. He is an actor and a director of some famous indie films. And as we see, he really doesn't look like Agamemnon. I don't know how that happened, but somehow he and Christopher Nolan managed to create such a powerful character like this Agamemnon, so-called aura farmer. And it was a really interesting challenge for me that I accepted to make him as a 3D character. I think I will make him just for render, not animation ready. We don't need this. As a basic head, we will take one of the scan heads from 3D Scan Store. I had a really suitable one for this character. And in the first stages, I will just try to move the facial proportions to make it closer to the references. And you know, I noticed one more thing that Benny Safdie, an actor, really doesn't look like his character behind the helmet. I mean, the area of his nose, eyes, and mouth. That's why I'm not really trying to make an actor himself, but an area that I noticed with the eyes, nose, and lips. And this is the only facial part that we need to make the character look like himself. That's why there's not necessary to make the likeness of Benny Safdie. And so we define the only areas that we need for a character, and we will not pay much attention to his overall forms like ears, neck, forehead, and so on. But of course, we will try to repeat and recreate his skull forms and overall posture. And so at this stage, the only thing we need is just move brush in different modifications just to fit the forms of our scan head. So we just keep following the references, masking a lot, and using moving brush a lot. Also, I always try to set the light in my scene and make it look like on the references. It will add much more points to your likeness when you will be making your character. Because me as an artist who worked with likeness a lot, I really don't see Benny Safdie behind the helmet on every reference photo from the movie. That's why many people so much surprised when they get to know who is behind the helmet. In the draw menu, you can also pay attention to the focal length of your scene, and you can constantly change it according to the references. Because as you all know, I hope, that our face is really changing depending on the lens using which we got the photo. For example, the wide lens, 20 millimeters or 35 millimeters, that's a wide lens, and they really distort our face. And telescopic lens, like 85 or more, or 100 or even 200 millimeters, they make our face really flat and they don't distort it at all. That's like you just press KP and turn off the perspective in real life. Try to notice this thing. When you're making references board, don't neglect the photos that might seem not suitable for a character, because you will need as much high quality photos as you can get. And even this photo, he really doesn't look like our farmer from the blockbuster movie, but this photo, due to this all this specularity, it gives us the volume of his forms and his face. So it is really useful to have one of these. All of this work at this stage was made just using my eyes. As you saw that I didn't fit the transparent photos on top the scene. And that's how I work. I just make how I feel it needs to be done. And after that, I try to fit the references correctly. Also, in this case, you are just developing your likeness skills. Don't just apply the transparent photo on top at the start of your work. Just try to see the details, the forms of the face. And now, as you see, when I applied a transparent photo on top, there's not so much corrections that need to be done. And that's why just try to feel the face, the notice the details and forms, individual forms of every face that you are making. Don't just copy from the start. he doesn't look like Benny Safdie himself, I agree to that, but he does begin to look like Agamemnon, and that's what we need. And of course, he wouldn't be this great character without his armor, so let's begin making his helmet. Also, when you're making a character, there are things that really add to your likeness a lot. For example, now we see just a head, and we can say that this is Agamemnon from the movie. We want to see him in a black helmet and in black armor. That's why making a helmet, at least in Blockout, will really add to our likeness, to his likeness, and you can say what you need to correct to make him look like himself. That's why try to collect every detail of the character as soon as you can. I mean in Blockout stage. We don't need to invent the wheel, that's why we just can extrude his helmet from his head. And also this method is justified by the form of the helmet, because the helmet looks like a human skull. That's why we can just extrude the basic forms from the real human head, and then we can modify it. Though I think the helmet from the movie is made of one piece of steel, we can say that by the seams on the helmet, the pieces are welded together as we see on the references. But now it's suitable to divide this helmet onto cheek plates and a helmet base. And if we need to weld those pieces, we can just turn on dynamic subdivision in Zbrush and weld together. But I will consider that later. And so we have the very blockout form, and we will continue our work in the next video. I will make that ridge on a helmet, or how it's called, crest, and all of those spine pieces with tail. And we will continue polishing the helmet itself and improving the likeness of the character. And let me know in the comments how do you like this format, whether I should turn on the music on the background, or should I make videos more longer, if it won't be boring to watch. Write me all that in comments. I really like this character and I will try to apply all my skills to make him look like in the movie. There will be also high poly, retopology, baking, texturing, and everything that we love. I think I won't make him full size, only the chest, but I think that's enough to make him as cool as he looks in the movie. If this video inspired you to open Zbrush, Blender or any creative tool, then it did exactly what I hoped it would. Thanks for being here today, and I hope you enjoyed the process as much as I did. Also, I hope that you got to know something new today. I don't want to only show the process, but also to share my experience with you guys. See you in the next Sculpt.